días, gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Tenemos aquí el día de hoy a Thomas Elias. Él es un analista político que escribe en muchísimos periódicos y aquí en el Valle del Antílope 2 veces a la semana en el Antelope Valley Press. Good morning, Tom. How are you?
Oh, I'm okay. I thought we talked today about the Alabama decision on frozen embryos. Did you know that the Alabama Supreme Court ruled a couple of days ago that a frozen embryo is actually a human being? And the reasoning behind this was absolutely fascinating, but the consequences could be enormous because it could end, if this became a general practice, it could end the practice of in vitro fertilization. Women who can't have babies contribute an egg and then it's fertilized with a sperm outside the body. And then if it's healthy, then it's reimplanted into the woman. But some of these embryos end up getting frozen and preserved. And now this court has said that they are human beings. And I'm going to stop there.
Okay. Vamos a hablar el día de hoy de la decisión de la Corte de Alabama en lo que se refiere a los embriones que están congelados. Dice, ellos han decidido que esos embriones son seres humanos y dice, y eso obviamente esa decisión va a afectar los procedimientos de fertilización in vitro, que significa que una mujer que no puede tener hijos pueden fertilizar su óvulo con el espermatozoide fuera del cuerpo y luego congelarlo para cuando ya decidan tener el bebé ya lo puedan tener. Eso va a afectar esa práctica con esta decisión de la Corte de Alabama. Okay.
Okay, so the Chief Justice of Alabama actually wrote in his decision. First of all, this decision is based on an 1872 law that was called the Wrongful Death of a Minor Act, which was enacted in 1872, long before artificial insemination ever was even known. Nobody even had thought of it at that time. And it refers to all unborn children, regardless of their location. And so a frozen embryo in Alabama is considered an unborn child. It's kind of ridiculous because this decision, according to this Chief Justice, was based on the biblical statement that all people are created in the image of God. And so these embryos, who are really nothing but clumps of cells, they don't look anything like a human being. They're also in the image of God, he says. So the image of God is a clump of cells, according to this justice. And it's absolutely absurd. And the danger is that it could end the in vitro
practice
fertilization program here in Alabama and everywhere if other states were to adopt the same kind of reasoning.
Okay.
Because you see in the in vitro fertilization process, when eggs are fertilized by sperms that are contributed by a male, either the husband or some other man, then you can get more than one healthy embryo in the test tube. And if you get more than one healthy embryo, what the scientists do, what the doctors do in this case is they pick the healthiest embryo to implant into the woman. And they cull the others. They just get rid of the other embryos that are not as healthy or not as strong. And so under this decision, they'd be murderers.
No.
And as a result, in vitro fertilization in Alabama has stopped.
Bueno, estamos hablando de la decisión del jefe de justicia de la Corte de Alabama y que hizo su decisión en base a una ley de 1972 donde aún no existía esta fertilización in vitro y se hablaba, en esa decisión se hablaba de la muerte de un niño que no había nacido y dice que esta decisión se hizo argumentando que todas las personas son creadas exactamente a la imagen de Dios. Dice, y en realidad cuando están todavía embriones no se parecen a nada, simplemente son células fertilizadas. En esta fertilización in vitro, y lo que sucede es que cuando una mujer deposita ahí su óvulo y luego se trae el espermatozoide de algún donador, si no es fértil el que es el padre, el que va a ser el padre, entonces de algún donador, y se fertilizan, y entonces a veces sale más de una embrio saludable. Dice, lo que se hace es que se escoge el que es más saludable de todos, y entonces se coloca en el vientre de la madre para el embarazo ya normal. Dice, y obviamente todos los demás embrios son entonces desechados, y dice el jefe de justicia de Alabama que entonces se está asesinando a seres humanos. Esto va a parar la práctica de in vitro, de tener la posibilidad de que algunas personas que no pueden ser padres lo sean, y entonces esto va a afectar definitivamente el proceso de fertilización in vitro en Alabama y puede que se extienda a otros estados.
Okay, so the thing that makes this decision in Alabama so incredibly ironic is that this was done by justices. This court, by the way, is all Republicans, and they're all pro-lifers. They're all anti-abortion people, but they call themselves pro-life. But the people that are trying to get in vitro fertilization are the ones that are actually trying to create life. And what they're doing with this decision is they're preventing the creation of life in Alabama. Now, it's not likely that a decision like this would be copied in California right now, but who knows what the political climate in California might be like in 10, 15, 20 years. We can't predict that. And so things could change here considerably. And we might be exposed to exactly the same kind of reasoning. And the reasoning is absolutely crazy.
Bueno, dice que la Corte de Alabama está compuesta de puros jueces que son absolutamente republicanos y en contra del aborto. Dice, lo contradictorio es que esta cuestión de in vitro, de tener hijos in vitro, está al contrario, no está abortando, sino tratando de dar, de dar niños a las parejas que por alguna razón no lo pueden tener, y entonces se les facilita que puedan ser padres para que se les garantiza el procrear. Entonces esta decisión es arbitraria y va a afectar a muchas personas que quieren ser padres, madres.
Okay, so here's how this came about. About 4 years ago, somebody broke into a cryobank, a place where the frozen embryos are kept in somewhere in Birmingham, Alabama. And this person who broke in knocked some of the frozen embryos onto the ground, onto the floor. And because they were knocked onto the floor and they were frozen, they broke and they were therefore destroyed. And then a short time later, the parents of these embryos, the couples that wanted them frozen and had ordered them frozen and paid for freezing them, they came and they wanted to use one of these embryos. Well, the embryo wasn't there, and they learned about the break-in, and they learned about how the embryo had been destroyed, and they sued for wrongful death, as if the frozen embryo was a live human being. And now the Alabama Supreme Court has upheld this and said that the lawsuit can go ahead. And this is all a result of the Supreme Court throwing out Roe v. Wade. Because what it's done is it's opened season on anything that involves embryos and anything that involves unborn children. And it goes from just banning abortions completely, as some states have done, with no exceptions for incest or rape. And it also goes to these unborn so-called children who are frozen and have never had any life. We just have to be very careful. This is what happens when Supreme Court decisions are done in a political way instead of in a rational way.
Do you know?
It just goes to show how crazy the political climate is in America today.
Well, okay, really fast. Esta decisión de la corte vino como un incidente donde en un lugar donde se tenían huevos congelados, alguien se metió y resulta que los tiró en el piso y los destruyó porque eran muestras congeladas donde ya se había fertilizado algunos huevos. Entonces esta persona, como no pudo tener a su bebé, demandó por la muerte de esta persona que estaba ahí en vitro, que todavía no nacía. Entonces con esta decisión se va a prohibir, dice, y esto es lo que está pasando con lo que en esta corte, con lo que se ha hecho por Roe Wade, que es lo del aborto, que la quitaron y que quitaron la posibilidad incluso de que algunas personas que han sido violadas o víctimas de incesto puedan decidir no tener ese hijo. Pues esto es lo que está pasando. Tom, thank you very much. The time is gone. It was a pleasure to have you. Hasta la vista.
Okay, thank you, Lilia, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.